What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Thank you so much for pressing play. Today we have a bunch of news about the C8 Corvette Z06, but most notably the fact that someone has calculated the 0 to 60 time and it is extremely fast. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so we have a bunch of information to cover today on the C8 Corvette Z06, but before we get into that, I want to jump into one piece of information on the base model C8 Corvette, and that is the fact that as of yesterday, May 10th, 2021, the plant is again closed for another week due to parts shortages. So as usual, this information comes to us from our friends over at the CorvetteBlogger.com, and we are talking again about that plant closure. Now, as you guys may or may not know, the plant has been closed a couple different times throughout the C8 Corvette's run, but this is now the third time for 2021. We're not even halfway through the year yet, and the plant has already been closed 3 different times. Like I said, the closure starts on May 10th, and it is expected to reopen on May 17th. The CorvetteBlogger.com actually has confirmed this closure with the Corvette Concierge hotline. The representative told them that it is parts related and not due to the worldwide shortage of semiconductor chips, which are plaguing automotive manufacturers across the board. So this actually doesn't have anything to do with the big thing that's stopping all the other manufacturers. This sounds like it is actually a different part. One of the plant closures that the C8 Corvette had run into in the past was transmission parts related, so very likely something to do with that again. The CorvetteBlogger.com finishes up their article by saying that Chevrolet has produced around 13,320 Corvettes so far for the 2021 model year. Now, for those of you who don't know, they were supposed to be geared to make around 40,000 of these cars per year based on a revamp to the actual assembly line, and that 13,000 number is nowhere near where it should be. The 2020 Corvette finished out its production somewhere around 20,000 units as well, and it's really starting to look like the 21 models are going to finish right around that same number, and that is about 20,000 units short of what they're supposed to be able to build. Now, of course, there are a million things affecting this at this point, between shortage of parts, COVID-19, and even union strikes. So I can't necessarily fault Chevrolet for any of this, but nonetheless, they are way down on their numbers. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this upload, the Z06 information that you guys are all going to want to see, if you could please go ahead and give me a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button with the bell notification beside it so you don't miss any future uploads like this. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. It definitely helps me know that you are liking the content so I can continue to make this stuff for you. Now, on to the Z06 information. Like I said, the meat and potatoes of this upload, and there is a good bit of it. So the C8 Z06 has been spotted again testing, this time in Colorado. So what they're testing there is the way the car is going to react to the higher altitude and how it's going to perform. They're really trying to make sure that this car is not going to have any kind of overheating issues, even when pushed hard at high altitudes. So again, this information is coming to us from our friends at the CorvetteBlogger.com, and it starts out by saying that the 3 C8 Corvette prototypes caught in the high altitudes of Colorado has been spied. Thanks to Larry Dean Starkey Jr. for sharing these photos of the 3 C8 Corvette prototypes testing in the high altitudes of Colorado. Larry posted the photos and he says, "I know they weren't happy with me stopping for a photo shoot, but I was pulling into my driveway and I had to stop." So this guy comes across these 3 prototypes in the most lucky way possible, but he does get a glimpse at the future C8 Corvette Z06. If you guys can remember, in my previous C8 Z06 video, I talked about the fact that these things were being manufactured in Bowling Green right now for test purposes, which meant we were likely to see them a lot more often. And sure enough, not even a couple days later, here's another leak showing some more photos of the C8 Z06 running around. Because these cars have been manufactured, they are going to be out there a lot more often. People are going to be running across them a lot more often, which means more information for us. The Corvette blogger finishes up their article by saying that we are getting closer to the drop-dead date of whether the Z06 will be included in the 2022 model year or if it indeed will be a 2023. Now, as you guys know, we have talked about this a bunch of times on the channel, and I am thinking it's going to be an early 2023 release at the absolute earliest. I really don't think this is going to be a 2022 model year, but of course, anything is possible at this point. Either way you cut it, guys, the C8 Corvette Z06 is going to be very hard to get your hands on at first, and I know there's a lot of dealerships out there right now taking deposits on one and putting your name down on a fake wish list. This is stuff that you want to try to avoid. If GM hasn't officially announced this car, there is no allocation. There is no reason for them to be taking any of your money yet, and that's one of the reasons why I deal with my dealership in Palmyra, Pennsylvania called Click Lewis. If you guys are interested in getting a C8 Corvette Z06 as early as you possibly can, definitely contact Michael Matarazzo at Click Lewis and let him know Horsepower Obsessed sent you. For those of you who don't know, that's actually where I got my base model C8 Corvette I have currently, and it was an absolute pleasure to deal with them. But anyway, let's talk about the big item here of the Corvette Z06, and that is a 0 to 60 time for this new Z06 that is absolutely insane. Now again, this article is coming to us from the guys at thecorvetteblogger.com, and the title is Using Math to Compute a 2.49 second 0 to 60 time for this Corvette C8 Z06. Now let that sink in for a second, guys. This thing could literally hit 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. I honestly think that it's mind-blowing that the base C8 Corvette hits 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. I have had faster 0 to 60 times in that car myself, so if GM officially says 2.9 and I've had as low as 2.6 in that car, then this Z06 hitting 0 to 60 in 2.4 could possibly be more like 2.2. But anyway, let's get into the math here. Let's get into how this was calculated. So the Corvette Blogger article starts out by saying that an avid Corvette enthusiast and self-proclaimed math nerd, Kyle Marsh, watched last week's video of the C8 Corvette Z06 prototype practicing its launch control and realized he could compute a ballpark 0 to 60 time of the car, as the track is essentially a giant roller, and utilizing physics and calculus, Kyle was able to create a formula. And based on the data points he was able to collect from the YouTube video, he came up with an estimated 2.5 to 2.6 second 0 to 60 time. Of course, I'm not going to pretend to understand anything that Kyle did with this to get to that number, because math has never been and probably never will be my strong suit, but at the same time, that is freaking awesome. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time talking about this because, like I said, not much of it makes sense to me, but I will link the article down in the description below for any of you other guys out there who understand mathematics of this. Go ahead and check it out. But ultimately, what we're looking at is a possibility of a high 2.4 second 0 to 60 time for the new Z06. And like I said, that is absolutely awesome. The way that the Corvette blogger finishes out this article is absolutely perfect. It says, if the C8 Corvette Z06 does have a 0 to 60 time of 2.5 seconds, it would be among the quickest sports cars in the world, according to the article by Motor Trend, which says that it would be equal times with a Lamborghini Aventador SV, the McLaren 720S, and even the Bugatti Veyron. Now that is one heck of an elite club right there to be part of. So if the Z06 can do this, that is, again, insane and awesome. For any of you out there who have not seen the C8 Corvette Z06 prototypes testing the 0 to 60 launch control video that I put out a couple days ago, I will link it to the top right of this video and in the description down below. But ultimately, it is an absolutely amazing sounding car. It sounds very F1 inspired, and of course, it definitely shows off that flat plane crank and some of the beautiful sounds that go with it. Now, lastly, guys, there is one more bit of information I want to share with you, and it is, of course, again, C8 Corvette Z06 related. And it is a leak of what could possibly be the new Z06 emblem for the C8. You know I'm really excited about this car whenever I see a potential Z06 emblem pop up online, and I get insanely hyped over it. So anyway, here it is. This is what was shown on the midenginecorvetteforum.com. This comes to us from a user named ZL1. And of course, this looks very legit because the Z by itself looks very similar to some of the design cues on the C8 Corvette by itself. Now, there isn't a lot to say about this other than the fact that I do find it to be a little bit weird that the Z is kind of split in half looking. Now, this is likely a very early design of that particular emblem, so we could be looking at something that's literally made out of clay sitting on a piece of paper. But nonetheless, this is an awesome thing to see because that means that the Z06 is definitely coming at some point. And finally, getting to see something like this in picture form just solidifies the fact that Z06 is freaking coming. Anyway, guys, like I said, this information comes to us from our friends over at the midenginecorvetteforum.com. I will link that in the description as well, along with the Corvette blogger articles. But what do you guys think? Let me know, what are your thoughts on all of this? The C8 Corvette Z06 is in fact coming. It's going to be an absolute beast. It looks like it could potentially have a 0 to 60 time of as low as 2.4 seconds. And at that point, it has got to feel like you're being shot out of a cannon. So what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comment section below. That is going to do it for today's video though, guys. If you liked what you saw, please give me a big thumbs up. Let YouTube know you liked it. Let me know you liked it so I can continue to make this kind of content for you. If you guys have any questions about the C8 Corvette, the Z06, the base model, the E-Ray, anything that's coming, shoot them in the comment section down below or shoot me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com, and I will make sure you get an answer. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. I have loads of Corvette content like this coming you're not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.